Today we have a slightly different video. Aside from looking around at the absolute mess of car parts that is my garage, I have the Lincoln Town car I use as a parts runner, and on intermittent occasions just kind of sitting in here today because my Imperial wouldn't start due to what I believe is a heat soak issue. But I wanted to demonstrate a nifty little acquisition today. These are headlights from a 1926 or 1927 Cadillac. And after a little finagling, I managed to use a couple of alligator clips to make a wiring harness for them. But just look at the size of these things. I mean, this breaker bar, these things are roughly a foot across. And thanks to my trusty antiquated charger, you flip the switch, you have power. And they really do light up the room. And if I'm brave enough to switch them over to 12 volt, man, do they shine. But this is about the standard output on this pair. For the hot rod project that I'm going to be building, these will be featured prominently as the headlights. This is one of the carburetors I keep on hand that I may wind up using for it or may not. Demon 850. Spare headlight covers for the 66 Imperial. They're actually off the 65. Poly 318 factory AC fan. Set of California Customs valve covers for the GM 454 family. Early coolant pipes for DeLorean. Spare Rochester Quadrajet, spare alternator. Bosch module for DeLorean. Rolls-Royce valve covers, spare carburetors. Early 727 transmission from 60 Plymouth. Corvette rally wheels, 15-inch. Front bumper for a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. Backup hubcap for my Lincoln. DeLorean engine cylinder head. Oh crap, I lost my shoe. Okay, I'll just go around the other way, because it's a little bit cramped in here. This, although it says casket selection, is actually a workshop manual for the DeLorean. Given the construction of those cars, it seemed fitting. Another spare carburetor, more Rolls-Royce parts. Box of Rolls-Royce parts, to be honest. More and more. Spare DeLorean engine that's partially disassembled. Rolls-Royce trunk, other valve cover. Other wheel for Lincoln. But that's a bit of what's in the garage. To answer a couple questions I've gotten about that. My garage is a disaster at the moment. I have been meaning to do something with it, but this is roughly 9 amps of power to the headlights on 6 volt. And we go to lower amperage at roughly 5 and somewhere about 7 to 10 amps. This is the output of the lights. They should be a very promising addition to my hot rod build. It's going to feature a Packard 327 because the body was too rough on the one I showed you before, and my spare Rolls-Royce grill. But for the meantime, I'm just pleased with the fact that I managed to get these functional for probably the first time in 80 years. Well, that's it for this little episode. I'll see you with more in the future.